Good morning and welcome to Spotlight. We are having a conversation with Dr. Wayne Wesley, the Registrar and the Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Examination Council. Good morning, Dr. Wesley. How are you doing?
Good morning, DK Roston. I'm doing well, and good morning to your listeners as well. It's good to be again in the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago.
Glad you were able to make it safely. But I want to ask, though, from
Yeah.
a governance standpoint, how important is this summit of ministers of education across the Caribbean community?
Well, it's a very important calendar event within the corporate calendar of CXC. As we, coming out of 2020 and the experience that we had right across the regions with concerns about how things are done within the education sector, particularly the secondary education sector within which CXC operates mainly. We thought it necessary to engage the ministers of education across the region to ensure that there is a continuous dialogue going on between us as to how we can ensure we work to the betterment of the education system. So this dialogue is an important conversation and an important stakeholder engagement in ensuring that the policymakers are very much au fait, and we are also familiar with the concerns that they have as it relates to the secondary education system and how we operate.
Now, it's one thing to say, okay, well, that's the dialogue. Where are the points of emphasis? Because sometimes when I hear AI and how it can impact academia, how individuals engage with it, I feel it's easier to do it at some levels on the tertiary level, but how does it really work when you're looking at it from the secondary level?
Okay, that's a very important question. And it is, AI is not restricted to one particular sector of the education system. In fact, AI can be used from the foundation basic level all the way to the tertiary level. It's how we manage to implement and govern its implementation to ensure that we harness the value that AI has to offer to the education sector. So, in fact, this year's Ministerial Summit will focus on artificial intelligence and technological innovation in shaping the Caribbean education system. And in particular, CXC is concerned with the teaching, learning, and assessment process. And as you can see, artificial intelligence has actually caused the teaching, learning, and assessment process to come alive. It is more engaging. Students, whether or not we use it within the education system, they are engaged with AI on a daily basis once they have a smart device, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, or even on their computers. They are engaged with AI through gamification and through the various software that they interact with, TikTok. Instagram, all of this, they are utilizing AI technology. So, what we want to do is to ensure that we harness the value of AI as to how it will make teaching more engaging, assessment more fun, and students will begin to understand how we can make knowledge that would not have been readily available to them now becomes available because AI brings together a lot of that information and content that would not readily be available. Of course, there are shortfalls, but AI has its relevance in education through assessment. Students are already using it to assist with SBA, already using it to assist with learning certain content in terms of mathematics and English and other areas. So there is an important place or important role for AI in education. It must be governed, however, to ensure that it is used correctly.
And I like the fact that you're not speaking absolutes, Dr. Wesley, because I think even coming back into the classroom from the COVID-19 pandemic, it seems as though the power dynamic was changed a little bit, so students were not necessarily looking at teachers as the end-all and be-all of information, especially if somebody not able to totally organize the Zoom software or this kind of, but being able to have a policy to deal with it, I think is very important, which is something that you started to hint to. So in terms of like that responsible use and looking at parameters to treat with it, what are some of those things that you're trying to get out of this summit this time around?
Within this summit, as you rightly pointed out, CXC is actually leading on the region. Our council, through our chairman, Professor Hilary Beckles, has asked that we develop a responsible generative AI policy for the secondary education system. And in that policy, we are dealing with crucial aspects such as ethics, curriculum, integration, looking at human intervention, looking at equity and the distribution of AI, looking at learning, looking at assessment, and looking at teaching. Now, the beauty about AI and us discussing all those interventions is that AI can also enhance the efficiency and effectiveness with which teachers prepare themselves for the classroom. We are looking at the creation of chatbots or some bots that will help to facilitate the mundane tasks that teachers are required to do? How can we harness the value of AI for the development of lesson plans, for the development of content, for the development of questions? Students can use it for their pre-class preparation in getting information that perhaps is not readily available in a textbook. That information can then be used in the classroom to help teachers develop students' critical thinking and analytical thinking and knowledge and understanding, because we are not purporting that AI in itself is totally the panacea on all the challenges that we face. We also recognize that AI must be culturalized. It must have relevant cultural context to the region. And we also recognize that it has the tendency to hallucinate. So this policy that we are developing will address all those issues. How will it enhance students' performance? How will teachers be using it to generate assessment? Can teachers use it to generate lesson plans? How can teachers use it to enhance the delivery of their lessons for students to acquire the varying competencies that are currently impossible using manual methods, those complex higher order level competencies for innovation, for critical thinking, and for analysis? How can we harness the value of AI to achieve this? And so the policy will be looking at curriculum integration, the policy will be looking at ethics, the policy will be looking at inclusiveness, because now we have the opportunity to cater for all levels of students within the teaching environment, those with special needs, those that are gifted, those that require special attention, those that are generally performing normally. All these can be catered to, because if we have the right systems in place, we can develop more personalized intervention that is treating with the development opportunities for our students, and at the same time providing teachers with the capability to do a lot more than they're currently doing, or to remove the mundane task. As a teacher myself, I usually the thing we hate most about teaching sometimes is the generation of lesson plans, because it takes time to plan a lesson correctly and to ensure that we cover all the areas that needs to be covered. But AI can help to reduce that in very quick succession. And so this conference and this ministerial summit will be looking at how we can harness and enhance the value of AI to the teaching, learning, and assessment process.
I really like that point about being able to customize to the individuals that you're treating with. But let it not be said that you are here for one thing, Dr. Wesley. I know there's also the CARICOM Council of Human and Social Development ministers, but speak to that, the Ministers of Education meetings, thanks. So speak to that a little bit, thank you.
All right, so the ministerial summit that will be on tomorrow, we have His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, the President of the Corporate Republic of Guyana, that will be delivering the keynote address to us. We have our Chairman, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, who will be giving remarks, and of course, the Honorable Nian Gasbidali, your dynamic Minister of Education here, who will also be addressing the summit on AI and the digital transformation that is occurring. We have several ministers across the region that will be participating and addressing. We have the Honorable Daryl Matthews from Antigua and Barbuda. We have the Honorable Kay McConney from Barbados, the Minister of Education in Barbados. We have the Honorable Cherie De Castro from BVI, who will be addressing the summit. We have Dr. the Honorable Priya Manikchan, the Minister of Education in Guyana. And we have Senator the Honorable David Andrew, who will from the Ministry of Education, Grenada, who will be addressing the conference. And at that conference, we will be addressing the issue of the AI policy. We will be addressing concerns and talking about the challenges that we currently face with the performance in English and mathematics across the region. What is it that CXC will be doing to help to alleviate and deal with some of the challenges there, looking back at our assessment methods and the certification that we offer in that regard, looking at interventions that will help with literacy and numeracy, as we recognize that both literacy and numeracy are foundational skills that are required for students to learn anything else. And once they are able to communicate, once they are able to calculate, they will have the skill sets and competencies to learn anything else. So how do we begin to put the focus there so we can move from the concerns that we highlighted at the results this year about only 36% of the region students actually making the grade for mathematics. English is at 76%, but that is still of concern. And how are we going to be addressing those things? The COSAD meeting, which is also the Council of Human and Social Development from CARICOM, will be meeting Thursday and Friday. We'll be participating in that and working with the Ministers of Education and CARICOM on how this policy will resonate across the region and the things that we need to do for the transformation of education to ensure that all students are catered to. And of course, AI offers a wonderful opportunity to ensure that we are all inclusive in what we do.
Dr. Wesley, you talk about literacy and numeracy, and I want to ask how does critical thinking feature into that? But we have 2 minutes, so give me an idea of the rollout, what can be expected on each day, and then also what defines success coming out of these two distinct offerings. Thank you.
All right. So, in our ministerial summit, the focal point will be on artificial intelligence and how can it be used to transform the education system. So, we will be looking at questions in addressing ministries as to what is being done from their ministry's perspective to facilitate the digital rollout in schools to help with the transformative effect of education. We'll be looking at dealing and coming with some consensus on how we're going to be treating with the challenge with literacy and numeracy across the region. We will be addressing the idea of the varying qualification and how assessment can be restructured and redeveloped to accommodate the concerns that are raised across the region with the number of students leaving school without certification. How are we going to be addressing that? So that is from the summit standpoint and what it is that the ministry can do to assist our CXC and the ministry working together with other critical stakeholders such as the teachers union and the principal union across the region to ensure that we are working to advance education transformation in the region. With the summit, with the COSAD meeting, we are looking at a broader, wider policy directive in several areas. Students with special needs, how are we going to be treating with those? We'll be looking at collaboration with wider international partners such as UNICEF and IDB and CDB to ensure that we are collectively working for the effective transformation of education.
And it seems as though this is a very ambitious project. We thank you so much for sharing that information with us. Dr. Wayne Wesley, Registrar, Chief Executive Officer of the Caribbean Examinations Council. Your success means we all succeed. So more power to you, sir. And we ask you to stay with us. We continue after this, the Now Morning Show. It comes back with more, so stay tuned.